Thank you, Frank. And my congratulations again to all the recipients of the awards today. What a nice crowd. Charlie, this may be the best crowd we talked to all day. At least I hope it is. And since Steve Fuller and Kathy have already broken the ice, my youngest daughter went to Clemson, so I got to give a shout out to Go Tigers too. You know, in the fall of 1981, I started as a golf professional at TGK. It was my first time as being a head professional, and at that time, TGK wasn't all that great, didn't have a great reputation. But it was a place for me to start my career, one that I'm very proud of. It was also a place I was able to hire my first assistant that I ever hired, a young man by the name of Hart Brown. Hart and Leanne came down from Kentucky, and quite frankly, Hart's probably one of the best assistants I've ever had. And I don't have to tell you what kind of an impact the two of them have had on golf in this state in Charleston. It was great to see Leanne here today. But the best thing that came out of TGK at that time was Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. Oh, wait a minute, I mean Charlie Rymer. Charlie and his buddies used to go up in the cove where they lived at night, and they'd shine the security lights on them on a float boat, and they'd drop their pants and moon them. But anyway, Charlie walked into the shop one afternoon after school. He was 6'3", 200 pounds, looked to be about 18 years old, and then he opened his mouth and said, "I want to learn how to play golf." And that was my introduction to Charlie, 13 years old. And as I look back now, Charlie became a really good player really quickly, and I never thought about why. And I've given some thought since he called and asked me to come today and talk on his behalf. But even at that young age, Charlie had 5 traits that all successful people have. He was passionate. No, he wasn't passionate about golf right away, but really soon after we started working together, he absolutely fell in love with the game, and he still loves it today. And his size and strength at that age were a huge advantage. He could hit it a long way, and he was very accurate. He can still hit it a long way today, but every now and then he'll hit one that's very errant. In fact, I think that's what drove him off the tour. I'll never forget, he got an exemption to play late in his playing career, to play in a tour event. And I looked in the paper after the second day, and it said, "C. Rymer, 70 WD." And I called him and I said, "Charlie, what happened? You played so good the first day and then you WD'd. He said, "Dean, it just wasn't safe for the spectators." And I know you're not going to believe this next one, but Charlie has a lot of natural athletic talent. Now, you wouldn't want him to be a horse jockey or to run a 100-yard dash for you, but he was long, he was accurate. He had a great sense of touch and feel and a great pair of hands. And I think those were some of the things that helped him become a great player. A couple other things, he had an amazing work ethic. We were talking this morning. It wasn't uncommon for me to leave at TGK at dark in the wintertime. It's cold. And I'd look down at the corner of the parking lot under the street light. There at the putting green, Charlie practiced putting and chipping until dark, or until after dark, until he had to go home. And he had a wonderful attitude as a kid. You couldn't tell by watching him play whether he was playing good or bad. In fact, one of the sayings that I'll never forget, Charlie said, he'd look at me and he'd go, "Dean, you know I really don't care if I miss a green because I know I'm going to get it up and down." And he usually did. And during Charlie's playing career in the 1997 Byron Nelson tournament on Saturday, during the 3rd round, Charlie shot 61. And at that time, it was customary for him to go up behind the 18th green and shake hands with Mr. Nelson. And he did, and Mr. Nelson grabbed his hand, he looked him in the eye and said, "Charlie, that's an amazing round, 61. You know, in all my years of playing, I never shot 61. And Charlie's thinking, wow, I've won up Byron Nelson. And then Mr. Nelson said, "Shot 63 times, but I never shot 61. And I wasn't really worried about Charlie, whether it was golf or television, because he had a career in fashion. None of you know this, but he was going to go into fashion. He created a line of men's clothing for the big guys, the large guys, and he called it Fatas, which if you put the 2 words together spells fat ass. And the first garment he concocted was a pair of boxer briefs for the big guy, and they all came in a little starter bottle of Gold Bond powder. And the color scheme was really unique. They had a brown body with a yellow pouch in front, and Charlie's thinking there was, well, you just can't stain either side. And if that line had taken off and done well, he thought about coming out with a line for the ladies, the big gals, and he was going to call it Lard Oss. And I'll let you figure out how that works. Several years ago, I noticed Charlie had been afflicted with a condition known as charisma. I don't know what it is, but people are attracted to him. People love being around him. I guess it's because he tries to act funny. But a great thought that I had was, if you put all the Golf Channel personalities in this room, and you could go sit down or hang out with any one of them, I promise you 98% of you would go sit down and hang out with Charlie, because that's what kind of person he is. The only exception being, if Holly Saunders was still with the Golf Channel, myself and a bunch of you guys would probably be hanging out with her. Charlie, I'm proud of the husband and father you've become, and I know you're going to talk a little bit about Hayden and Carol and Charlie Duke here in a minute, so I won't bother with any more of that. And yes, I'm about done. I'm proud of the career you had as a player, the great work you've done in TV, and I'm extremely proud to call you my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Charlie.
I wasn't going to cry. Is this where I get